Hi, class. So after chapter 10, we were supposed to do our second midterm exam, but due to the coronavirus outbreak and our um, instruct change in learning formats, and also changing our schedule, I've decided to switch our midterm 2 exam to just um, and an exercise. Okay, so I've uploaded midterm 2 sample test and solutions online. So please do treat this opportunity as a way to self-test yourself how well you have learned chapter 8, 9, and 10. And the things after midterm 1. Okay, so this midterm 2 sample test, it covers the 3 or 4 chapters. I would say it's mostly things in chapter 8, 9, 10, even though we learned chapter 4 after first midterm as well, but we will be mostly focused on chapter 8, 9, and 10 in the midterm 2 sample test. Okay, so this is a good review so far. This is also going to prepare you for the final exam. Okay, so in total, we will just have 2 exams during our whole semester, the midterm 1 and the final exam. Okay, we will not do the second midterm, but please work on this sample test to review the materials and also test yourself. Okay, so before you look at this video or before you continue watching this video, please find yourself some time working on the 15 questions in this sample test by yourself. Okay, so in this video, I'm gonna discuss about all the 15 questions in this midterm 2 sample test, and of course the detailed solutions and answers for these questions. So if you haven't worked on these, please give yourself 75 minutes and work on these things on your own by yourself. And then you can refer to the answer attached to the file, or you can watch this video to review the questions. Okay, so again, you can quit the video or pause the video if you need some time working on these 15 questions. But if you have already finished them, let's look at these questions one by one. All right, so for the first question, it is asking us which of the following statements best describes what you should expect if you randomly select stocks and add them to your portfolio. Okay, this is testing us the risk diversification knowledge. If you recall the graph we learned, that the total risk decreases when we add more and more stock in the portfolio, because the upper part, the diversifiable part risk decreases, and the bottom part, the market risk, does not change when you add more stocks. Okay, so the first option A, adding more stocks will have no effect on portfolio's risk. This is not correct, because portfolio risk should go down. Option B, adding more stocks will reduce the portfolio's beta coefficient and thus its systematic risk. This is not correct. Systematic risk does not change. Option C, adding more such stock will reduce the portfolio's unsystematic or diversifiable risk. This is correct. Okay, let me mark here. Let me mark by using. Okay, so I pulled out the mark pen And let me work on getting all right, so I've changed the I've opened the Word document instead of the PDF document, so I can so it's more convenient for you to make some notes here on the document, and I'll upload the updated document online on Canvas as well with my notes here. Okay, so I guess I will mark here that for option A, our portfolio risk should actually decrease. Okay, should decrease. And option B, systematic risk should not change. Okay, all the things I marked in yellow are the notes I add here. Okay, and here it's correct. Okay, reduce these unsystematic risk in option C should be reduced. Option D and option C is correct. Option D, adding more such stocks will reduce the portfolio's market risk, but not its unsystematic risk. Again, this is not correct because market risk should not change and unsystematic risk should reduce. Option E, expected rate of return. We are not sure what is going to happen. Not sure. Okay, remember the expected return is the weighted of the portfolio, is the weighted average of all the returns, stock returns. So when we add new stocks, it depends on how much the portfolio return is and how much is the new stocks return is. Okay, the rate of return of the new portfolio could be larger or smaller than the old portfolio. Okay, it depends on the situation. So here, our right option is C. Okay, that's why I marked C yellow here. Question 2. Which of the following is most likely? And for question 1, if you're not sure what's going on here, please go to chapter 8, class 3. Okay, you're gonna see the graph about risk diversification. Okay, I wish I have a pen here. Let me. Okay, so for question 1, I just draw a little graph here, which you can also find in chapter 8, class 3 notes. Again, when the number of stocks, X is number of stocks, goes up, the total risk sigma goes down. And the upper part that goes down is unsystematic risk. And there's a bottom part that does not change, which is systematic risk. Okay, that's question 1. Question 2. Which of the following is most likely to occur as you add randomly selected stocks into your portfolio, which currently consists of 3 average stocks? Okay, this is testing us the same graph here. Option A, both the diversifiable risk and the market risk of your portfolio are likely to decline. This is not true, okay, because market risk here is not gonna decline. Diversifiable, yes, it's gonna decline, but market risk should not change. Option B, the total risk of your portfolio should decline, and as a result, the expected rate of return on the portfolio should also decline. Again, total risk should decline, but the expected rate of return, not sure. C, expected rate of return is likely to decline. Again, not sure. Option D, the diversifiable risk will remain the same, but the market risk will likely decline. Again, diversifiable risk will decline. Market risk should not change, while diversifiable risk will likely decline. E, the diversified risk portfolio will likely decline. Yes, but the expected market risk should not change. Yes, E is correct. Okay, that's question 2. Question 3. Dothan Incorporation's stock has 25% chance of producing a 24% return and a 50% chance of producing a 12% return and a 25% chance of producing a negative 18% return. What is the firm's expected rate of return? Okay, there are 2 ways. Method 1, we can do working on the expected return by using the portfolio formula. Okay, method 2 is to use financial calculator. Okay, so in method 1, expected return becomes the 3 weights, okay, multiplied by the 3 probabilities multiplied by the 3 returns. Okay, probabilities multiplied by returns. Probabilities multiplied by the 3 returns. Okay, so that's gonna be the 25 chance multiplied by 22%, okay, plus 50% chance multiplied by 12% return, plus 25% chance multiplied by negative 18% return. Okay, that's gonna give us 12%. So the right option is B. Okay, or I should add, we should have the sum of probabilities multiplied by returns. As our expected return. Okay, method 2. Financial calculator. Okay, we know the 3 returns, we know the 3 probabilities. We can use the financial calculator second data and input return multiply 100 as X and probability multiplied by 100 as Y, and go to second stats, press second set until you see 1V, 1 variable, and press down button to see X bar as expected return and sigma X as standard deviation. Okay. Please see the end of the document. Okay, if you go to the end of the document, you will see all the solutions for all the questions. Okay, so if you go to question 3, you'll see detailed calculator method for this question here. Okay, second data, 100 multiplied by return as X, 100 multiplied by probability as Y, second stats, second sets, 1V, X bar, and sigma X. Okay, it's all listed here. Okay, I'm gonna mark these as yellow because these are new notes here too. Question 4. This firm stock has a beta of 0.76. Risk-free rate is 2.25%. Market risk premium is 5.5%. What is required rate of return? Okay, so it's a very simple question, just testing us CAPM model. Okay, so use CAPM model. Okay, RI, okay, the return of the stock I equals RF, the risk-free rate, plus RM, market return, minus RF, risk-free rate, multiplied by beta. Okay, here we know beta is 0.76. Risk-free rate is 2.25%. Plus, we're given that market risk premium is 5.5%. Note that here, market risk premium refers to market return minus risk-free rate. Okay, so we only need to use 5.5%, the market risk premium, multiplied by beta, 0.76. Okay, we don't have to minus risk-free rate anymore. Okay, if the question gives us market return, then RM is the market return. But here we have market risk premium, so it refers to the whole thing here in the bracket, RM minus RF. Okay, so here we should have 6.43% as our final answer, so we should choose option E. Okay. Question number 5. Let me put the question down here. Question number 5. This firm believes the following probability distribution exists for its stock. What is the coefficient of variation on the company's stock? So we have 3 economy status, boom, normal, and recession. The probability of each state occurring is 0.3, 0.5, and 0.18. Expected return of the stock is 25, 15, and 5% in each economy scenario. We want to look for coefficient variation. So we do need to calculate standard deviation and also expected return to get coefficient variation. Right, because CV, coefficient variation, equals standard deviation divided by expected return, right? So we need to calculate standard deviation and expected return, and divide them. To get CV. Okay, we can calculate them by formula. For standard deviation, the formula is a little bit complicated. It is each expected return minus the overall expected return square root multiplied by the probability and add them up, and then the difference between the stock's expected return in each economy scenario minus the overall stock expected return, square it, not square root, but square it, and then multiply by each probability, and then add them up, and then square root the whole thing. That gives us standard deviation. Okay, for expected return, we can just use the 3 expected return in each scenario multiplied by the 3 probabilities. So we could have the expected return. Okay, so I would say we can solve this by formula, but it's easier if we use financial calculator. Okay, and again, please see the end of the document for detailed steps. Okay, so let's go to question 5 in the at the end of the file to see the detailed financial calculator procedures. Okay, it's here. Okay, it's I guess the same thing as we put in here for chapter 3. Okay, we have a similar procedure here in question 5 as in question 3. Okay, so here we have the 3 probabilities. And 3 returns. Okay, we have 3 probabilities of 3 states and 3 returns. So we can use second data, go to the data function, and input 100 multiplied by return as x. So here the returns are 25%, 15%, 5%. So we can, when we multiply by 100, we're actually just removing the percentage sign. So we just input 25, 15, and 5. Okay, so this question, we input 25, 15, and 5. For y, we're going to input probability multiplied by 100. Okay, in this question, we have 0.32, 0.5, 0.18 as our probability. So we can just input 33, 32, 50, and 18 as our y. Y1, y2, and y3. And then we go to second stats function, and then we press second sets until we see one variable, 1v. Press down button, we can see sigma, we can see x bar, that's expected return, and we can see sigma, that's standard deviation. Okay, and we should see an expected return of 16.4%. So in the calculator, we would see 16.4, but we need to add the percentage sign back. Okay, for standard deviation, we would see 6.93. Okay, but we need to add the percentage sign back. So our CV becomes this 6.93% divided by 16.4%. So we have 0.42. Okay, if you want to use the formula, here this table shows us the formula for this. If you want to use the formula, you can use, again, for the expected return, you can use these 3 probabilities multiplied by the 3 returns to add them up to get this expected return, 16.4%. Okay, and for the standard deviation, this table here shows us how we are using the formula. Step 1, we take the difference or deviation from the mean of each return. So we use these 3 returns minus 16.4. So we have these 3 numbers. Okay, we minus 16.4 or 16.4%. Okay, and then we square the deviation in the 3rd column to get the 4th column. For the 5th column, we use 3 probabilities in the 1st column multiplied by the 3 squared deviation in the 4th column. So we have these 3 numbers. And then we add them up, take the square root. Okay, and here, this number, 0.4804%, is the expected variance. Okay, we square root the variance, so we have the standard deviation. Okay, so this is how we can solve this question by using the formula and using the financial calculator. Okay, so this is question 5. Between the questions and answers, you can also see the formula sheet for midterm 2. Okay, so you can see the CV formula here. You can see the expected return formula, standard deviation formula we were just using. Okay, you can also see the portfolio return and beta formula, CAPM. Okay, market risk premium equals RM minus RRF. Stock risk premium, RPI, equals market risk premium multiplied by beta, which is also RI minus RRF. Okay, these are formulas for chapter 8. Now let's continue with question 6. Okay, question 6 here has we have company A has a beta of 0.7, while company B's beta is 0.9. The required rate of return on the stock market is 9%. Okay, market return. Note here that required return on the stock market means market return is 9%. RM, risk-free rate is 2.25%. What is the difference between A's and B's required rates of return? We know betas, we know market return, we know risk-free rate. So actually we can calculate stock A and stock B's required rate of return and take the difference. Okay, so let me write down the two formulas here. RA okay, let me put okay, so I do need to delete the cell. I do need to okay, RA equals if we apply CAPM, so let's use let's use CAPM model for both stock A and stock B for getting their required rates of return, right? If we want to know their difference, then we need to calculate them one by one, right? For stock A, RA equals RF, risk-free rate, plus RM, market return, minus RF, risk-free rate, right? Multiplied by beta of A. Let me put BA or BA, beta of A. Okay, that should be equal to risk-free rate is 2.25%, okay, plus RM, market return should be 9%, minus risk-free rate 2.25%, multiplied by beta of A, which is 0.7. Okay, and this should give us 6.98%. For stock B, RB equals RF plus RM minus RF multiplied by beta of B equals 2.25% plus 9% minus 2.25% multiplied by beta of stock B, 0.9. This should give us 8.33%. Okay, so their difference, which is RA minus RB, becomes 6. Well, here we see all the options as positive numbers, and we see RB is actually higher than RA. Okay, so this gives us 8.33% minus 6.98%. Okay, it gives us 1.35%. So we should choose option B. Okay, alternatively, before you do the calculations for RA and RB, you can take the difference of the two equations. Okay, so instead of taking the difference of these two numbers you have calculated out, you could actually take the difference of the formula. Okay, RB minus RA. You can see it equals this whole thing. Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste it. Excuse me. Let me use RB here. Okay, so you can actually, I'm gonna put another bracket on this formula. Okay, minus the first formula here. Okay, and you can see that the first item in each bracket cancels out because they're both risk-free rate. So risk-free rate minus risk-free rate becomes 0. Okay, and then the second item, RM minus RF multiplied by beta, they have a common factor, RM minus RF here. So this equation becomes RF minus RF plus RM minus RF multiplied by B, beta of B minus beta of A. Okay, so this becomes RM minus RF multiplied by beta B minus beta A. Okay, and then you can plug numbers in to calculate this. It should also be 1.35%. Either way works. Okay, so that's the first 6 questions. These questions are mostly testing our knowledge on chapter 8. Okay, so we're talking about risk diversification and calculating firms' expected rate of return based on return in each economy scenario. We're also using CAPM and coefficient variation knowledge. Okay, these are the first 6 questions on chapter 8. From chapter 7, we're going to go over some questions testing things we learned in chapter 9. And I'm going to discuss the rest of the second part of the sample test in the next video.